Hi guys, welcome to another classic movie review. Today we'll be reviewing The Mummy, going back to 1999.
The movie stars Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, Jonathan Hannah, and Arnold.
So set around the mythical city of Hamunaptra in Egypt, we find Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz trying to fight along an American group that are trying to find the Book of Death and Book of Life. As a mummy who has been reincarnated is trying to reincarnate the long lost love of his life. So I'll get into the review. I'll start things off today.
All right.
So in this Indiana Jones style film, we get a lot of action, a lot of gunplay, something a bit different from the adventurer realm. There's a lot more machine guns for an early 1920s piece than you usually see. But other than that, I think film was really done well. ILM, they did all the effects for this film and they had a lot more time for it than subsequent films. So they came across a lot better for the time, especially. It's just after Jurassic Park and it's quite an in-depth film that uses a lot of technical things such as, morphing and 3D imaging. So even though some of the things don't exactly age well compared to say an Indiana Jones film that today still holds up, it's still a great film, great watch. Story's interesting. It's pretty simplistic, as in it's not too complicated to understand it. They have a voiceover at the start to explain it all. I mean, there aren't many gripes I have with the film. It's the campy kind of stuff of the late 90s. It's the Austin Powers time, so everything was a little bit on the nose in terms of the comedy. I don't know all the actors' names, but Cadbury from Richie Rich was in it. He was the I guess the main antagonist trying to get to the sarcophagus and the treasures first against Rachel Weisz's character and John Hannah, who played the brother and sister team that hired Brendan Fraser to help them get to the city and help them discover the tomb and the Book of Death and Book of Life, gold book and a black book. It's a good film. I really don't have many gripes with it at all. I mean, the story's good, the acting's good, costumes fit the time, so yeah.
All right. Okay. When I watched this movie, I was very young, I think. So I think I watched it the same year or next year maybe. And this was the very first movie or very first of the movies. When I watched it and I fell in love, not with this movie, just movies in general. So I owe this movie a lot. And so as a kid, I mean, I was so scared of scarabs and every time I would see a bug, I would freak out. So yeah, this movie not only introduced me to horror, but to adventure. So I didn't watch Indiana Jones until very late in my life. So this was introduction to the adventure part of the movies. And for me, this is the gold standard. So I can't, even though I watch Indiana Jones afterwards, but I always look, this is the gold standard for me. So nowadays the movies, if we watch, the side characters are just very bland. They're just there. They're there to die most of the times. Here we have few of them, and while I was just watching now, and I felt they were all really good. Especially you got Jonathan, who's quite funny, and then you have Benny, who's sort of like a side villain, and he's like a bug who keeps coming back, even if you swat him away. He kept coming back, and yeah, he was really good. And John, like you mentioned, the effects. Some of the CGI was bit off, but the effects were the mummy, the way it was transforming from totally decayed to emotive, the way he became, all the transformations were really good. And Brendan Fraser, oh my God, that man is so charming. I loved him. I love him so much. And Rachel Weisz, we got the perfect duo and their chemistry was so good. This movie, I don't have any gripes with the movie. Cameron?
Alright, so unlike Moon, I did not watch this when I was a young little child. I watched it now. This was my first time viewing it, and if I did watch it as a child, ain't no way I would be sleeping. Ain't no way. Bro, those mummies would have terrified me. And I reckon I would have had a phobia for bugs for sure. Ain't no way. But yeah, as far as the movie goes, I had a great time. It was just very comedic. I didn't expect it to be so comedic. It was very comedic, and the story really flows. It didn't feel slow. It kept going and progressing, and yeah, I loved it. And just with the effects, yeah, I say most of them hold. There's only one or two that really you look at and you go. But then again, I can say for myself, we've seen worse currently. So the standard then was probably really good back then. But, yeah, when one scene stood out when he was fighting all the mummies, too.
Yeah.
That looked really good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like, cause it sort of changes into practical and sort of a little bit CGI.
All the mummies in that scene, all CGI. So there's
really?
everybody close up and far away, every single one is CGI. So when he's fighting if you see the behind the scenes shots, he's literally fighting with a sword, thin air. That's all he's doing. So that, they managed to make it look like he's actually hitting. And there are some that are so photorealistic. But when you watch the behind the scenes, it is literally that middle place where Rachel Weisz's character is sitting.
Yeah.
And then Brendan Fraser is just jumping all around with the sword. There's
and
no,
he sells it so well.
Other people. Not even any mocap people. Like there's no mocap people wearing suits.
Well, that's right.
It is all done in post.
There you go. Cause then I thought maybe they did a bit of both to make it look good, but there you go. We've got the facts here. So that really held up, and that's why it stuck in my brain. Like it was a really cool shot. Yeah, this movie was a really great time. I recommend it to people, like for sure. Even if they haven't watched it, like to go watch it back now. You have a great time, really. Yeah. I think it's just full of charm. Brendan's full of charisma as he was back then. And yeah, had a great time.
Yeah, the first scene that the film opens up on.
Yeah.
So that uses 3 different types of effects in the model industry, because that was right at the time when the model making industry was leaving and the digital was coming in.
Yeah.
So the whole set, all the pieces of the face and all the palace, that was actually a miniature. Then all the people were recorded on green screen to the scale of the miniature, and they were composited in. And then where the horses are going, and there's the guards all against the wall.
Yeah.
That's a real wall in Istanbul. And before they did the rest of the shot, they have the camera pan in and get the shot. And then for the miniature scene where they come up to the face of the Tutankhamun looking and the scaffolding, they actually reverse the camera angle so that it would match up. So that one was quite a complex shot when I was looking it up.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of technical things in this film that is really done well. And yeah, it really hits home.
Well, it pays off because it held up really well, and it looks great.
There are a few films that really hold up over time. Like the one that sticks to mind the most is Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's that film where you can watch it now and it still looks realistic because they don't rely on the visual effects as a crutch. They use it more as an aid to help them. I mean, some characters that I like. Benny. Yeah, he's a small antagonist of the film, helping out the main antagonist, Imhotep.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he gets his comeuppance at the end, but there's this one scene that I love where at the start he's walking up to him in his still mummified form, where he's just got his eyes and his tongue, and he's praying every single the gold chain. I thought that was so funny when he gets to the end with the Star of David and he's like, "Oh, this is the language of the slaves. You could be my helper." That was just so funny, that scene. I mean, the comedy in it's great. Rachel Weisz, really good. She's not just the femme fatale that's along for the ride, like so many films of the time were, like Austin Powers, that kind of strong woman character that they were trying to portray, which is good to see in films. You don't really see that much in films these days, even to that extent. Other than that, I really don't think that any of the other characters, were as major. But, yeah, I really thought it sounds funny, but have you seen The Jungle Book, the recent one?
Yeah.
The Rachel Weisz and Jonathan brother-sister remind me of the Emily Blunt and Jack Whitehall brother-sister, and Brendan Fraser is like a parallel to The Rock. Not that they're exactly the same characters, but that's kind of like a modern day version of that story because they're going to an island, they need a guy, they have the boat. It's kind of a parallel,
yeah.
but that's more just a little note than anything else. But yeah, really good acting. But yeah,
Can I just talk about one thing? The villain, the mummy, is barely in the movie. Yeah, like not a lot, but still we get why is he doing what is he doing. So even if the time is less, they still fleshed out the villain so well. You get it. When his soul gets sucked at the end, I always feel so bad for him because he just wanted to be reunited with the love of his life, and he waited so many years. So I think the problem with current movies, the villains are never fleshed out, and
Yeah,
you
they
can,
focus more on the hero.
yeah, they did it with such a small amount of time too.
but I mean they did it throughout the film. Like usually there's the
Yeah.
villain, and right at the end we learn
Oh, he's
why
so good,
he's
yeah.
why he is the villain.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you knew from the very start why he is, and it makes him seem bad, but you can relate to him.
Yes, because at the end of the day, he just wants to be with the love of his life. So,
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna get into scores.
yep.
Yep.
Alright, Moon, how many scarabs out of 10 you giving this
Okay,
movie?
this. 9 scarab out of
John?
Yep. I'm going to be on the same page with Moon on this one. 9 scarabs out of 10.
I'll be giving it 8.5 scarabs out of 10. Alright guys, make sure to like, share the video, tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.